And welcome back, everyone, to Lantern Corps videos. You'll notice I didn't get this up this morning. That's because I didn't get a chance to pre-record it yesterday like I normally do. And that's just because life, it happens. We evolve. We move past this kind of thing. Anywho, so this one comes to us from Rainbow Prison, who asks the question, what is Blossom, the leader of the Powerpuff Girls, Lantern Corps? Let me actually get this out of the way so you can see her right there. There's that cocky smirk. Now, Blossom being the leader of the Powerpuffs, the Powerpuffs are not the same characters just wearing different colors. They're actually all unique in their own personalities. Buttercup is the rough and tough, almost tomboy one who likes to fight. Bubbles is a lot more innocent, and Blossom seems to be the more level-headed leader of the group. She's the most mature of the three, even though she's still a little kid. So from that, we can kind of get an idea of what her Lantern Corps may or may not be. First and foremost, she's not an Avarice Lantern beyond any point that a kid could be an Avarice Lantern. Any kid has that level of selfishness, sure. But all kids have that. That doesn't make you a qualifier to be an Avarice Lantern. The Avarice Lantern also magnifies the amount of greed in you. Unlike some of the other ones, which don't magnify the level of fear you put out or magnify your willpower. But things like the Red Lantern of Rage, the Avarice Lantern, the Indigo Lanterns, things that are actually more parasitic lantern rings, do magnify these emotions in you. Point being, though, she would not be an Orange Lantern. I think that's pretty obvious. And she's not a Black Lantern, nor any of the Powerpuffs, because they've never died, nor have they really killed anyone. Nor are they embodiments of death. So, getting those out of the way, let's actually address some of the ones she could be in theory. At some point, I'm going to just increase my size a little bit again. That's perfect. At some point, I should probably just adjust the size of the logos to just fit right in here, although that might get confusing after a while. Either way, I think green is a very obvious option to go with to start with. All the girls have had to overcome great fear in their time in the series. And they're all strong-willed to keep doing what they're doing, and they keep overcoming great fear and, having to use their wits and will to save the day sometimes. Not even in combination with their super strength and stuff like that, but still, will makes a lot of sense. Going conversely to one that doesn't work in so many B's, that doesn't work in Blossom's favor is, and this one's weird. Actually, let's not go with the weird one yet, but is Rage. All the girls have been angry before. Buttercup would theoretically fit most effectively with a Red Lantern ring, but Buttercup is not motivated by rage. She just has the worst temper of the group. That a Red Lantern does not make. A Red Lantern needs to have rage there needs to be rage in your heart, and it needs to be something that is just broken in you. You need to have pure, unadulterated rage. Whereas, no, the girls just get, in theory, anyone would be a Red Lantern at that point just by getting angry at some point. That's not how that works. So there's that. Another one, though, that I think we need to talk about is, and this is no joke, Yellow. All three of the Powerpuff Girls, in theory, could qualify for a Yellow Lantern Ring of Fear because they scare the piss out of the entire villain, Rogues Gallery. An entire Rogues Gallery. Hell, out of normal people. Remember the episode where they swapped cities instead of Townsville, Citiesville? The city of Townsville versus the town of Citiesville, which was like everyone was scared shitless of the girls and hated them. So it's to take villains and normal people out of the equation. People in their city love them for who they are, but take them out of that environment, it's a very different story. So, yeah, no joke. The girls could legitimately be fear lanterns in the right scenario. Now, full disclosure, I don't think that's what Blossom is. I bring it up because there is a possibility she could be. But I think cooler heads would prevail on that. She would reject a Yellow Lantern ring if it came to her. Plus, it's what is the name of the spoiled rich girl who wanted to be a Powerpuff? It's been so long since I've watched the show. I love the Powerpuff Girls, by the way. I love Powerpuff Girls. But I can't remember her name. But she wore a Powerpuff Girls suit, the uniform that she made, and it was yellow versus the green, blue, and pink. Anyway, I digress. So moving on to Lantern Corps again, I don't think she qualifies for, and this is the weird one that you wouldn't think about. And I believe it's all of them, although I think Bubbles might be the most likely to qualify for this, given her personality. It is Sapphire. I do not see Blossom as a Star Sapphire. In fact, I don't necessarily see any of the girls as Star Sapphires, because what they're doing isn't direct, because love necessarily isn't what motivates them. They're kids, and they love the professor, and they love the people around them, sure, but is that what actually motivates them? Or is it just just this program duty they have to be superheroes? Is it, the wanting to just help and do good? Not necessarily out of love, just because you want to. I'm not saying it's a no-go, complete non-starter Lantern Corps. I'm just saying that looking at the way kids work and knowing that the Powerpuff Girls are only in kindergarten, so that puts them no older than the age of 6 or 7. 6 or 7. Then, I don't see love as the motivator for them. And by that extension, Blossom. So now that gets us in the last two, and these two I think are just as good as possibilities of green. Coming in the third spot is, third one on the list is Compassion, the Indigo ring, which is the Lantern Corps of, like I just said, Compassion. Now, to be a Indigo Lantern, you either have to have Compassion as your number one trait, or you need to be completely devoid of compassion. You need to be completely soulless, heartless, and more or less it wipes out your personality and replaces it with this hive mind mentality ring. It's a parasitic ring that literally, it's even worse than the Orange Lantern ring, because you still do keep your personality, you're just insatiably greedy. Whereas with this ring, you actually lose who you are. So yeah. But Blossom, being the most mature, is also the most compassionate of the group. She's the most understanding Powerpuff of the group. She's still prone to make mistakes. She's only 6/7, but still. She is definitely able to feel more empathy than the girls can. And that's an interesting thing to point out compared to Bubbles, who is very bubbly, who just loves to, just be kind and gentle. But that doesn't necessarily make her the most compassionate, because she might be the most empathetic, but that doesn't make her the most compassionate. That actually technically makes her more naive. She actually might arguably be because she is the most bubbly, innocent one of the group. So I can't say I'd say Bubbles is more compassionate. She certainly is, but all three of them are, although Buttercup certainly is the least, especially as we saw the one with the Paste Eater episode. I would honestly just go and say that Blossom, because she is the most mature, allows her to actually understand and be compassionate. That's not to say she can't be not compassionate at points, because again, come on, think grammar here. It's not to say that she is not uncompassionate at points. I'm just saying she's probably the most compassionate of them. Moving on, that leads us to the last two rings, the White Lantern ring and the Blue Lantern ring. Of the two, I think that the Blue Lantern ring and I just disappeared there, the Blue Lantern ring of Hope, I think, is also very likely for any of the girls, honestly, because the town relies on them. There's literally an episode about what happens if they were to go on vacation and never come back. The town, they are the hope of the city. And they are the thing that really helps out, and people, all of them, everyone loves them. They are symbols of hope. They absolutely are, and I think her being the leader makes her the biggest symbol of hope because of that. Now, I mentioned White, and despite the fact that they are all living beings, and they're all young children too, so they do play and live life kind of to their fullest, which puts them on a stronger footing to be a White Lantern than many of the other characters I look over. And they go around protecting the city. Sure, I just don't know if that's enough. Nurturing life, help growing life, protecting. I just don't know if it's enough for them to be White Lanterns, Blossom included. I wouldn't say no necessarily, but in terms of this list, I didn't add it to the list because I feel like, because if that were the case, any young superhero kid could have, in like the DC universe, could have been a White Lantern. That's not quite how that works. But I'm not saying that argument is completely invalid either. So there's that. But I think Hope is a much better candidate, or chance. It's more likely that Hope would work than Life. So it's Hope, Compassion. I've already basically said Fear is a no-go. And then finally Green for Will. So which one do I think it is? Well, all three of these actually I think have the best. All three of them are pretty solid options for Blossom. I will say though, of the three, Compassion is most likely the least likely. Just because she is still a kid, she can be selfish and she can still basically say screw off, whatever. Not that she used those terms, but kids, whatever. So that leaves us with Green and Blue, Hope and Will. For my money, oh god, see the beauty here is I in theory could give her both. Kind of like Naruto, for example. Naruto is a character who really does embody both Hope and Will, and is in a rare situation where he kind of does it equally, and they're the only two rings that can really work in conjunction with each other. You can dual wield and have both a blue and a Green Lantern ring, in theory. But if you're gonna put my feet to the fire and ask me which one I think collectively the girls are Hope. Collectively. Individually, I'd say most of them, and I will get to Buttercup and Blossom another day. Individually, I think they're either Hope or Will. In Blossom's case, I'm probably going to go with Hope. Only because she's the leader, and therefore she's kind of the face of the girls. But if you were to ask me that same question, Green, Blue versus like Buttercup, oh, no. Buttercup's much more of a Will than a Hope. Not to say she couldn't be a Hope Lantern. It's just the fact that given her personality, she's definitely closer to a Will Lantern. But that is my thoughts on what Blossom's Lantern Corps would be. Let me know in the comments below if you feel the same way or if you think differently. Could it be any of the other ones I didn't put on the list? Or could it be one of the two other ones that exist out there that I also don't have on this list, which would be the Ultraviolets, which allegedly are based on shame. Or there is, in fact, a Gold Lantern Corps, which is about happiness. The problem with that Lantern Corps is you basically need to have never known sorrow in your life. And there's so few characters out there that are like that it's not worth talking about. Because even Buttercup, even the girls have known sorrow before. So, yeah, there's that option. But still, anyway, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And I'll see you folks for the next one. Have a good one.